Test. Test 1, 2. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. All right, we should be live now. Let's go ahead and get started. This is jpeg2RAW. No show number. We're not doing a show number this time. jpeg2RAW, August 18th. And what I'm doing tonight is doing live now. Oh, hold on a second. Gotta turn that audio off. Doing an update on where we've been. And you may be asking, Mike, where's Tim? Where's AD? Because we do two shows. We do jpeg2RAW, which is this show, and we also do jpeg2RAW photo review with AD. So Tim is on my regular show, AD's on the other. Both of them have made themselves available many, many times. It just didn't work out for me, and both of them now are on vacation. So I'm feeling up to it tonight, so I thought I would do an update. And if you follow us on Facebook or are a friend of mine on Facebook, you probably already know where we've been. If you're not, that's what this is for. A show here to put out for all the people who get us on, Podbean and Stitcher and Spreaker and iTunes and all those places where you may not follow us or be involved in the communities over on Facebook. So I wanted to give you guys an update and post this out there. Plus, I think if I don't post on iTunes for a certain amount of time, they actually cancel the account. So I need to do that. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on, and then you can ask questions later if you want to. No question will embarrass me, and if it's something I don't want to answer, I'll just tell you I don't want to answer, but I can't think of anything right now. I'm doing this live because jpeg2RAW has always been live. From day one, we've always done them live. I could have pre-recorded this. I don't have any notes here. I'm just going to speak as things come to my mind. So where we've been is back before I went back to Alaska. I went back to Alaska in late June, early July. Right before we went, actually the weekend before we left, they found some spots on my liver and my ribs. And at the time, we pretty much knew what it was, but they did a liver biopsy that we wouldn't get the results back for at least a week. So they said, go on your cruise. We will have the results when you get back, and we'll go from there. So good, went on a cruise, great cruise. I love Alaska. I wear my Alaska shirts as often as I can. And I got some more when I went up there. So when we got back, I got the news and I was diagnosed with melanoma cancer that is on my liver, the ribs, like I mentioned, and there's actually a spot on my left leg. I think that's all of them. We did a head-to-toe PET scan, and that head-to-toe PET scan confirmed that those were the spots, and no new ones, no other ones, because I think once you're told you have cancer, every itch, every ache, you think, oh, there's another one, there's another spot. But that confirmed where they were. So from that, and from the biopsy, we then, with my doctors, have established a treatment plan. And that treatment plan is it's something called immunotherapy. It's been around for a while, but the ones I'm receiving are fairly new. It's a combination of 2 drugs. You're receiving 3 weeks apart for a total of 4 treatments. And those 2 drugs work together, one to help your immunity system identify the cancer, and one to basically turn the brakes off your immunity system. And what that means is the cancer can't fool your immunity system and say, I'm a good cell. Your immune system then will attack the cancer and is relentless. And it's had great results and worked well for some people. For other people, it doesn't work. Along with that treatment, like many cancer treatments, comes side effects. And one of those side effects, and one of the main ones I've been receiving, is fatigue. And, I've been trying to go to work every day that I can, stay as long as I can. I got things to do. Plus, I still need to get paid. This cancer treatment is not cheap, even with good insurance. So, I've been trying to go as long as I can, which means that by the time I get home, I am wiped out. And that's why it's taken this long to finally do this show that I wanted to do, and why I wasn't able to hook up with AD or Tim to coordinate with this, because I could never guarantee, them that, tomorrow night or even tonight, I would be well enough to do something like that. And if you look at the list of potential side effects, fatigue is, if that's the one I get, I'm willing to live with that, especially if this works. So I'm not here to say we're canceling jpeg2RAW, but I am saying that we will probably have a pause. I've had 2 treatments. I had the last treatment this past Friday. And thanks, Norman. I see Norman's out there on Facebook. We're doing Facebook and we're doing YouTube. I've had 2 treatments. The first treatment was harder as far as the fatigue goes. I'm not going to get into any details on some of the other side effects that have been minor, unless you ask me and really want to know. But the fatigue has been the main one. That does seem to be getting better, which is why I'm here tonight. And usually by 8 o'clock at night, I am wiped out. Just a tired that I've never felt before. It's not like you go out and work out and you come home tired. So, I'm, hopefully when I get done with the 4th treatment and, we get the next PET scan, that we'll see positive results, and eventually we can get the show going again, because I enjoy doing the show. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. I enjoy talking to different photographers and, being with Tim and AD. But I wanted to let anybody who didn't know what's going on. And right now I cannot give you a date on when we'll be back. I don't know what the future holds, and whether this will be successful, and if it's not, what we do next. It's not something we can do surgery for, so this is the path on what we have to do for treatment. I've gone to another doctor to get a second opinion, and he confirmed that this is the best treatment that we should be doing right now. So hopefully it will get there, and we will be successful. So, feel free to ask any questions on YouTube or Twitter. I mean, not YouTube or Twitter, YouTube or Facebook. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to, if there's no questions, I may head into the post show, because I don't mean for this one to be a long one. I need to put something out on to our podcast stream, and I don't intend to do regular updates through something like this. If you are interested in getting an update and you're on Facebook, feel free to friend me, and in the friend request maybe say something about, hey, from jpeg2RAW, so that I don't think that you're some Russian bot or something like that. And then I do updates through my Facebook personal, information. Not so much in our Facebook groups, because I want them to stay photography related and not something like that. As I mentioned before, there is the thing of, if I don't put out a show every so often, I'm not positive when it is, eventually iTunes will cancel the show. So I might have to do something there. And if my fatigue continues to get better, we may start something up before I'm done with the treatments. But I'm going to go ahead and end this recorded portion and go into post-show, and then feel free to ask me questions. Or if you don't have questions, we'll go ahead and end. If you want to talk about photography, we can hang out for a little bit. I feel okay right now, but I don't want to hang out for hours on end. But let's go ahead and head into a post-show. All right. Any questions that you want to ask me? Anything I left out? Any photography thing? I did see, speaking of photography, that Lightroom had an update, and I was going to do it right before I went live, but I wanted to wait till afterwards. To tell you just how tired I've been and not wanting to do anything, I hadn't been down on my computers in weeks, and my camera bag is sitting to my left, still unopened from our trip to Alaska back in early July. Haven't taken the camera out yet or looked at any of the photos. So hopefully I'll feel better, continue to feel better and be able to look at those photos this weekend, because I haven't posted any. I don't know if any of them are any good, but I want to look at them. Thanks, Jan. Thanks, Dave. So I don't know how many of you guys have been with the show for a long time. 6 years ago, a little bit more than 6 years ago, I had a melanoma spot on my head, and at the time, we did that was able to be removed through surgery. They removed some lymph nodes, and at the time thought that everything was captured. There was nothing in the lymph nodes. They got clear margins around the surgery, and it was all gone. And we did that at Emory Hospital, which is great hospital here in Atlanta, with a great doctor who now is like one of the head doctors in the whole hospital, Emory system. And but the thought is, something got loose that we didn't see, we didn't know, and that's been sitting in my body for 6 years, and decided time to start wrecking havoc. And that's where this started, because my first question is, how do you get melanoma inside your body? I thought that was only on your skin, but I think once it gets on your skin, it can get into your body, and it's quite serious. The treatment they have with this immunotherapy is doing very well, and has very good promise, especially for melanoma. Yeah, so Greg, attitude-wise, I feel pretty good. Whatever will be. I'm hopeful that this will be successful. The only time I get a little, I don't want to say down, but a little upset, is when I'm laid in bed, wiped out, and it's 4 PM and bright and sunny outside, and I'm thinking, this is just pathetic. Here I am laying in bed at 4 PM, and it's bright and sunny outside. Another time was my oldest son a few weeks ago moved into his apartment. He's graduated college, got a job, he's moved into an apartment. All I did was watch my 2 kids load my truck up with his stuff, drive it over to his apartment, and watch my 2 kids unload it. that wiped me out. And all I did was watch them, which just seems pathetic. But it's, again, when I look at the list of side effects, a lot of them could be like chemo side effects, which are horrible. But, fortunately, so far, I've been good. Because, as I mentioned, one of the things that the immunotherapy does is take the brakes off your immunity system. And, in your immunity system, the brakes are there so that your immune system doesn't attack the wrong things. When the brakes are off, it could decide it doesn't like the looks of my, kidneys or my lungs or something like that and just start attacking them. And that's where the side effects, come in with those things, or maybe it doesn't like your intestines. Many of those things they can counter if they catch soon enough. So it's important for me to let my doctor know. But, they're making great strides in these immunotherapies where they're using your own immunity system to attack it. And I'm able to drive myself to the treatment and drive myself home so that, that day is not bad. It does take about 4 hours for them to get all that stuff in me, but you just lay there and, look at your phone or watch stuff on your phone or something like that. So it's not too bad. Thanks, Lisa. So if you're on YouTube, I'm talking to people out on Facebook. So I'll hang out for a little bit. We can talk about some photography stuff too if you want. I know AD right now I think is up in, or maybe he's coming back from a trip to Michigan. If you follow him on Twitter, he's been posting a lot of photos. And Tim, I did not know this until I saw his post on Facebook. He's out on a cruise right now. I think from Cape Canaveral down in Florida. So that's where those guys are. But I look forward to getting back with those guys and doing some more shows. If you go back and look at the last show and look at this show, I have lost some weight. I don't necessarily think that's from the cancer. I was losing weight already. I had already lost 85 pounds on my own before all of this. So Dave says, is AD only on Twitter? He's not on Facebook. So he is on Twitter. He's on Twitch also, which he does some streaming on there. But the only way, and of course Google Plus is gone, the only way I know to get in touch with him through social media like that is through Twitter. Yes, Dave. So I had lost about 85 pounds on my own through all that. Something odd is happening. I think it's just psychological. The doctors don't say there's any medical reason for it, but sometimes I have trouble eating certain things. I get like a gag reflex. So it's not nausea, it's just a gag reflex. And that helped me lose another 20 pounds, but I have stabilized it now. Yeah, thanks, Nancy. So the first treatment was where it really hit me with the fatigue. This last one has not been nearly as bad. So really the worst day of fatigue from the first treatment was 5 days later. So I get it on Friday. It was 5 days later on a Wednesday, which would be today. And today was fine. 5 days from the first treatment, I think I went to work, and by the time I got there, I said, guys, I am just awful. I don't think I can make it much longer. And by 10 o'clock, I left. Today, I worked almost a full day. I think I worked till at least 4. Yeah, so I know, Nancy, we're going to have to remind him of this, because I think last time he said he went to Michigan, didn't you tell him that next time he goes, he needs to let you know? So I think he forgot. But he did go back to Michigan, and I think I saw on Twitter they're about done. I'm heading back. Hey, Randy. Yep, I don't do much on Facebook right now. If you're into Facebook groups, Gina Clark is running the main jpeg2RAW Facebook group and still doing some contests and stuff there. But I still try and look in there as often as I can and see all y'all's posts. And I've seen your post, Randy, and living through you guys doing different things, and being out there, and so yep, thanks, Randy. So right now, doing okay. But I won't really know. The next PET scan is another 2 months. I won't really know how much progress we've made until the next PET scan in about 2 months. And I don't know if any of you guys ever had a PET scan. So when I went, I never until this time I had it. I go into the hospital, and I had a great tech. He comes out and he says, "All right, I need you to confirm your name and date of birth." And sometimes I like to joke around with these guys, so I said Bob Murray, and then said my date of birth. And he goes, "What?" And I said, "No, Mike Howard," and then said my date of birth. And he goes, "Okay." So we start walking toward the room, and he says, "All right, I need to confirm what we're doing today. We're doing a bilateral knee replacement." And I said, No, not bilateral knee replacement, just the left knee." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And he acted like he was writing something down. So we walk another couple of minutes. I go, "Hold on a second. I want to make sure we're both joking, because I'm joking about the knee replacement. I want to make sure you're joking and I don't walk out of here with 2 new knees." And he goes, yeah, I know what we're here for." So anyway, go into the room. He hooks up an IV, and he goes, "All right, I'm going to start this process." And I said, "Well, what is this stuff you're sticking in me?" And he goes, "It's radioactive sugar." And he's serious. It's radioactive sugar. And guess what that does is it goes in your body and it highlights the cancer cells, but also does something so they can tell the activity level of the cell. And thought that's pretty cool. And it has a half-life of like, I think 101 minutes or 110 minutes, something like that. And then, half-life, it starts to deteriorate. And while he's doing that, he said, "You see that case over there?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "That case they're delivering right now, that stuff has a half-life of 18 minutes. And it costs $16,000 a shot." And he says, "We have to coordinate the delivery of that. The patient has to already be here. We have to be ready, give the shot, and then get them in the imaging thing all, fairly quickly, because they got to do, however many minutes of imaging. And if that thing only has a half-life of 18 minutes and it costs $16,000 a shot, they can't fool around with that." So I thought that's crazy. I mean, he told me what it was. I have no idea. I don't remember. All I remember was my radioactive sugar. So I guess now I'm even sweeter than I was before. Anyway, anything you guys want to talk about before I sign off? Thanks for coming out in either case and watching us on YouTube and Facebook. I also have a show we did with Don Komarashka right before all this started. I have not been able to edit it. Don't know. I need to check. Maybe I did edit it, but I haven't published it. So I'm hoping that this weekend I feel well enough to edit and publish this one before the pre-show, and edit and publish the one with Don Komarashka. Although I think as far as the timely subject about his book, it's past that time maybe. Anyway, he had some other great details that are timeless. So be looking for that one to come up soon too. And, once we get back rolling here after this is over, I like to have Don back on because there's some subjects we didn't get to. All right, I will give you guys a minute and then we're going to head out if you don't have anything else. If you have any questions, feel free to ask a question too. I don't get embarrassed easily. Otherwise, when we get off, I'm going to be updating Lightroom. I hear it's supposed to have some speed improvements, some GPU speed improvements. So, Dave, as long as they keep the classic or whatever they call the current Lightroom, I don't use use it for mobile very much. I like the Lightroom Classic. So as long as they keep the Lightroom Classic, I find as they can keep pushing mobile as much as they want. Just keep Lightroom Classic. Thanks, Barry. Jan, no, unfortunately, I do not glow in the dark. Jan over on YouTube asked, do I glow in the dark now? I do not glow in the dark. And the treatments they give me, I don't think are radioactive, although when they give it to me, this makes you wonder. The nurse wears a full gown, a mask, and then a face protector when she's giving that to me. And And I said, okay, so you don't want any of it on you, but you're sticking it in me. But I think it's because they give out all kind of different treatments and chemo and all that kind of all day long. If they got minute exposures over time, it would really add up. I think that's why they do that. My practice, actually, the Georgia Cancer Center is who I'm going to. I think I'm the first patient they've ever given this treatment to. And I know that only because one of the nurses before my last visit said, hey, yesterday the drug manufacturer was in here, and the drug manufacturer gave us, all the doctors and nurses, a demonstration, and they were saying, if the patient says that this is happening, do this. If the patient says this is happening, do this. And then she said, and you know what? You're the only one on it. So when they were saying the patient, they were talking about you. I said, oh, okay. I think that's one of the reasons my wife was a little nervous and why we got a second opinion down at Emory with a melanoma expert. But he confirmed that, he would have done the same treatment. So this other place, I like them, and it's very, very convenient for me to go to. So I'm going to stay there. Anyway, all right. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you have questions, if God forbid, if anything ever happens to you or somebody you know, and you want to talk to me, if you have questions, about any of this stuff, feel free to message me on Facebook. I am on Twitter. I don't do a whole lot on Twitter, but I am on there. You can also email me at podcast@jpeg2RAW. I'll answer those questions. And, like I said, I don't get embarrassed easy. So any question you want to ask me, feel free, to ask through any of those means. If you don't want to do it here publicly, if you want to ask privately, that's fine too. You can message me on Facebook. You can post it on my Facebook personal page, email me, or tweet me, whatever you want. Any of those things. And so Dave over on Facebook says, I'm starting to change my workflow to uploading to my iMac and Lightroom Classic and then make the collection to the cloud, ratings and small edits. Yeah, so, one thing, Dave, I'm glad is they give options. If that's working for you, that's great. Like having options. I still like to do it on my desktop. I'm not even a laptop. I don't even own a laptop. I have a work laptop, but I don't own a personal laptop. I do everything on my desktop. Maybe I'm old school. That's just the way I like it. One of the reasons also is I don't travel a ton for photography, so it's easier for me just to do it on my desktop. But I like the fact that they're giving us options. That's always good. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. Guys, ladies, and gentlemen, thanks for hanging out. And again, reach out to me if you have any questions. Follow me on friend me on Facebook if you want updates. That's where I'll be doing updates when there's something to update. But until next show, keep shooting and keep it raw. Good night, everybody.